Hello guys, today is going to be a little short. I've been away from home, and when I haven't been away from home, I've been working to make up for when I won't be at home, but that's fine. Who knows, it might be a better standalone story anyways. We're reading Jesus Anointed by a Sinful Woman, Luke chapter 7 verse 36. Now one of the Pharisees invited Jesus to have dinner with him, so he went to the Pharisee's house and reclined at the table. Quick note here, it's good to know that there were some Pharisees that wanted to hear Jesus. Also, when it says that he reclined at the table, it was more of like laying down. They would either be on their sides, like a provocative model, or on their stomachs, like a teenage girl on their phone. Either way, I really don't understand how that could be comfortable, but it's what people did. Anyways, that's important to note to show that Jesus' feet were accessible. That's a weird sentence, but let's keep reading. When a woman who had lived a sinful life in that town learned that Jesus was eating at the Pharisee's house, she brought an alabaster jar of perfume, and as she stood behind him at his feet weeping, she began to wipe his feet with her tears. Then she wiped them with her hair, kissed them, and poured perfume on them. So the first interesting part is that a very sinful woman entered a Pharisee's home. That was bold of her. Of course, we don't know who she was or even how she was sinful. There have been theories, but nothing really solid, so let's just say that she was a random prostitute. She brought a very expensive jar of perfume and put it on Jesus' feet. Why she decided to take this course of action, it's not completely known. It will make for a good lesson in a couple of verses, but it's not something a stranger would do. But she probably wanted to give some sort of gift, and she was very emotional because she felt really bad about what she had done in her life. When the Pharisee who had invited him saw this, he said to himself, "If this man were a prophet, he would know who is touching him and what kind of woman she is, that she is a sinner." Jesus answered him, "Simon, I have something to tell you." Two quick things. I was very confused, but Jesus isn't talking to Peter, Simon. The Pharisee is named Simon. Also, it doesn't say whether or not the Pharisee said this out loud, so Jesus could have done some more mind reading. "Tell me, teacher," he said. "Two men owed money to a certain moneylender. One owed him 500 denarii and the other 50. Neither of them had the money to pay him back, so he canceled the debts of both. Now which of them will love him more?" Simon replied, "I suppose the one who had the bigger debt canceled." "You have judged correctly," Jesus said. Then he turned toward the woman and said to Simon, "Do you see this woman? I came into your house. You did not give me any water for my feet, but she wet my feet with her tears and wiped them with her hair. You did not give me a kiss, but this woman, from the time I entered, has not stopped kissing my feet. You did not put oil on my head, but she has poured perfume on my feet." It was custom for a host to do these things for a guest, but the Pharisee hadn't done them. Let's read the last part. "Therefore I tell you, her many sins have been forgiven, for she loved much. But he who has been forgiven little, loves little." Then Jesus said to her, "Your sins are forgiven." The other guests began to say among themselves, "Who is this who even forgives sins?" Jesus said to the woman, "Your faith has saved you. Go in peace." I'd like to go back for a second to where Jesus said, "Do you see this woman?" When he asked that, he was asking, do you see her for what she truly is? And that is kind of a funny question because we can't really do that as well as Jesus can. Which is why we can be like the Pharisee, the other guests, and probably even the disciples too. We can only see so much. Jesus isn't just talking about God's forgiveness, though. He's talking about our forgiveness too. In the metaphor, the debts weren't justified in any way. They were just forgiven. That's what we are called to do. And that's not easy. Hypothetically, You have to forgive your friend who was 2 minutes late to your birthday party, and you also have to forgive the drunk driver who killed your 17-year-old son. I'll admit that after sitting and thinking for a few minutes, I just don't understand. It doesn't make sense. This is one of those moments where I will admit that I am still the learner. I mean, obviously I've never had a child die or had my family killed for their faith, but I've had some unrighteous things happen to me. We all have. I've known many people who have been very hurt by other people. But have any of us been betrayed by our disciples, put in chains, been beaten, starved, mocked, wrongly accused, walked a marathon, have spikes on our head, stabbed through the hands and feet, and just have to hang around till you just die? And then that doesn't even compare, because now you have literally every sin that has been committed and every sin that will be committed running through your body. Jesus had to endure that. And he forgave every single one of those sins. That makes no sense, but that's the kind of person I want to follow, and the kind of person I want to become.